Hey guys, Michelle from Michelle's Craft Corner here, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little music box using Stampin' Up product. Let's get started! So here's a close-up of that music box we're going to be making today. I really love how it turned out. And here, listen to it play. But you may recognize that as Amazing Grace, but if you're not feeling that particular tune, there are a lot of other ones that you could substitute as well. So a lot of different variations, and I'm very excited to see what everybody else comes up with from this idea. But to make this box, we of course are going to be using the wonderful Window Box Thinlits. I love these dies. And this makes such a really good size box for gifts and different things like that. Very reasonable. We're also going to be using just the layering circle framelits, specifically this one right here. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that one. And just a small piece of Whisper White cardstock for cutting out that circle. Now, of course, you could stamp whatever sentiment you want on this, depending on who you're giving it to. But I personally just really love the Hold On to Hope bundle, or Hold On to Hope stamp set, excuse me. It's such a really great versatile one, and so for this one I stamped that scripture from Isaiah on there, and this is shown in the clear, but also available in wood. But as I said, if you weren't feeling this particular sentiment, you can really stamp anything you want on it. Also, besides this stamp set, I also used the Petal Palette stamp set. Now I know this is a really big one for the small thing I used it for, which was this flower right here, because looking at this gorgeous Design Series paper, I thought that flower was the closest I could get without having to fussy cut the flowers out, which you could do as well. So, which is just another really nice stamp set. Okay, so besides those two stamp sets, we're going to be using this wonderful new Designer Series paper. Now this is the Share What You Love Designer Series paper. Let me pull it in here. And it is gorgeous, and it's an extra big pack. It's got 24 sheets for each of 6 different designs, and I have a few that are cut so you can kind of see these a little better. So just a few of those designs. So really bright, bold, beautiful patterns. The other side of this is this nice green. Other side of that one. So you can see, and these also have a little bit of a shimmer, which I don't know if you can catch in the camera, which doesn't show in the catalog, but it is a really nice, just a little accent on several of these sheets, that little shimmeriness. And other thing I wanted to point out too, if you didn't know, you can actually get 2 boxes out of one sheet of Design Series paper. Now this is not the only way that you can lay it out, but I just wanted to show this to you guys so you could see. Here we go. And of course you can position them a little differently, but you can get at least 2 different boxes, so you've got the base and the top out of one sheet of Designer Series paper. If you're doing 8.5 by 11, you can really only get 1 box out of that just because of the width. All right. So we've got that covered. I also used a tiny bit of this gorgeous lace trim. This is very vanilla. I don't know how well that's going to show up against the white. Show up there. Okay. It's a really nice little delicate touch, and then just a few pearls as well. The other thing we're going to be using is the foam adhesive strips. Love these, use these all the time. And also the tear and tape adhesive, which I seem to have misplaced my post-it note for. So anyway, the tear and tape adhesive. Alright, for stamping, we are going to use the Black Memento ink for our sentiment. The Crumb Cake for a little bit of sponging. This is the old style pad. A new one hasn't arrived yet. And what am I missing? Oh, and of course, the musical box component. So let me show you that. So we'll get to how to put it in a second, but of course you're seeing this little knob, but not seeing what's connected to it. So I discovered recently that you can actually order these tiny little music boxes via Amazon and have them shipped to you, and they're actually fairly reasonably priced, ranging anywhere from about $4 up to $7, depending on the tune and the style. So let me just show you a couple things real quick. So they all basically are this same design. We've got the little roller, the little pins, the tiny little dots, and I'll play this one so you can kind of see it out of the box. I don't know if I should zoom in. Which, if you didn't recognize, that is actually a tune from Harry Potter. That's the Owl's theme, Hedwig. So they have some different ones, and they also have some more traditional ones. This one plays You Are My Sunshine. This one plays Happy Birthday. The differencing in prices. Now, I will have a bunch of different links in the info of the video, so you can follow those straight to these. But there's going to be a little bit difference in prices. So you'll notice some of the cheaper ones, generally around the $4 mark, will include free shipping, but they're not Amazon Prime. And a lot of those are coming straight from China. So depending on how soon you need your project, you do want to calculate that extra shipping time. You'll also see a variation in style. So some will be just the plain one like this, and some will actually have this like hard acrylic box. Really, it doesn't matter sound-wise or placement-wise which one you get. Same thing with the color. Some will be this nice gold, some will be silver. It's going to be inside the box. Save a few bucks, go for the cheaper one. You don't necessarily need it all fancy because nobody's going to see it. Other thing is they have these little screw holes, and they'll come with little tiny screws. Generally, the manufacturer is thinking that you are going to be screwing them into a wood base or something like that. We won't really need those screws, so I generally throw them away. But that's generally how they're expecting you to transfix them, but we've got a different way because we're dealing with paper. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, other thing. So besides... Sorry, I'm talking so fast. Besides the different styles, there are some that are primable. There are a few nerdy themes, but not as many as you'd think. Primarily just the Harry Potter and the Game of Thrones theme is the only one I've found so far on Amazon. And I have done both the ones from China and the Amazon Prime ones. They both all play about the same, so from my personal experience. The other thing you may be wondering, if you are not a fan of this particular box, which you should be, but if you're not or don't have that one on hand, another question I could see people asking is, well, will it fit in some of our other boxes? And the answer is yes. So here is, you know, that fitting in the new curvy box. So you can see there's room to spare. It's not mounted yet, but there's plenty of room in there for that. You probably could even get two in there. So it would fit in that. And then the other question is, would it fit in the pizza box? And yes, these will fit in the pizza box and close. So very excited about that. Lots of options. I haven't punched the hole in the side on that one, but you get the idea. So I'm really excited about this project. I've got a couple other sample music boxes to share with you at the end of the video. And I think this is just such a cool gift to give somebody for any occasion. So let's get started. All right, so we've got our box here. And so I went ahead and pre-cut our two pieces out using that window box thinlit die and that wonderful Designer Series paper, the Share What You Love specialty paper. I really liked this pattern. It's got that little iridescent. So we're gonna go ahead and just fold that up like so. And there, when you run it through, it has the nice pre-scored, let me do this in the camera, pre-scored little lines, so you can just kind of follow along those pretty easy. Now, I really love the tear and tape for this box in particular, because you don't have to sit there and pinch and wait for it to dry. It's so much quicker. And true to its name, you just tear it off and adhere it. And you don't need a piece the full length of your tab. You just need a little edge right there. And then we're just going to peel it off. If you don't have nails, you can use little tweezers, something else. I'll just pinch that. So we've got one side down. I'm going to do the other side real quick. And you'll see there's a little bit, well, maybe not in the video, a little bit of that tear and tape over the edge. You can kind of fold it over if that bothers you, and give it a little bit extra. Just a quick pinch. So we've got our half of box done. So if you're not familiar with this particular die, let me just show you real quick so you get an idea here. You're going to have one that's the base, and then one that's going to attach and be the top. If you guys can see that. All right. So we're going to stop right here and just with our base piece and go ahead and grab our musical box component, which was this nope, that's Happy Birthday. Where did I put? Oh, I may have put it in here. Nope, not that one. I put them in all these different boxes to show you guys, and now I seem to have misplaced my Amazing Grace. Well, maybe this one will just have to have it in tune. Oh, no, here it is. Okay. Sorry about that. I've got boxes everywhere and misplaced which one. Some of them will also sometimes show up in bags, so you can imagine I had a lot of deliveries of music boxes recently. Alright. So there he is. And yet again, those tiny screws, which we're not going to use. All right. So we've got our Amazing Grace. Yep, got the right two. Okay. So we're going to take it and we're going to pick one of the sides. It doesn't really matter exactly which side you pick for the handle to pop through. Because you can kind of reposition it, and especially if you're doing it this style where you have a closed lid, you can kind of change whichever is the front pretty easily. All right, so the other thing, which I don't think I mentioned earlier, that I used is just a standard hole punch. Now this is the retired standard hole punch size Stampin' Up! I used to carry, but just any kind of hand hole punch will work. All right, so I'm going to pick for this example this side for the hole. Now, when punching the hole for the handle, you actually want to punch it where, let me see if I can show this in the camera, a little closer. Okay, you actually want to punch it where the top of the handle is going to be poking through, not the bottom, if that makes sense, because it's kind of got that kink in it. So you want to punch it a little higher, not lower. And there is some flexibility with that. Now, if you're worried that you're not going to hit it exactly right, you can eyeball it and do like a pencil line, which I could show you. You could do like, where's my pencil? We'll do a pin, that'll show it better. Okay. So you can line it up and just do an approximate pin line about where that's going to be. It's on the inside, so I don't know how well you guys can see that. Yeah, it's not going to show up in the camera. Maybe that'll show up better. Nah, it's not really showing up, but the dot's right there. But you can kind of eyeball it a little bit. But then we're just going to take our hole punch and slide it down and punch out. And just watch me now that I'm doing it for the camera, totally mess it up. Okay, totally punch out where we want it to be. And then we're going to slide that bottom piece through and just in like that. So if you did it right, you should have it to where it fits nice and evenly when sitting flush. So it's going to be sitting flat on the paper. That's important. and that it has room to fully spin. You don't want your hole too snug, okay? But you have a little bit of wiggle room. All right, so now we've got our hole for our music box ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and line it up. Now it doesn't have to be like a perfect angle. It could go any which way. It doesn't really matter. You're not gonna see it. We're gonna go ahead and grab our foam adhesive strips. Yet again, I love these things. If you don't have some foam adhesive strips in your craft stash, you really need them. I use them all the time. Great for shaker cards and windows and all kinds of other fun stuff. All right. And this is a fabulous project for them. All right, so we've got these nice long strips. Now you don't need a full strip, so we'll probably be trimming these down, but we're gonna take a piece, this in camera here, just peel it right off. This is, yet again, not a full strip. This is a little piece I had left over. And what we're gonna do is basically kind of surround our music box with the foam strip. Now, hopefully I got a piece that's big enough, but we're gonna go from one side and be sure. Okay, this is gonna be fun to do in the camera. Okay. This is why you wanna go ahead and do just the base first. So you wanna do that right up against the edge. Hopefully you can see that. Right up against the edge of the music box and wrap it around, being sure that it's flat as you press it on there. So flat, wrapping it all the way around. Just like so. Now you may or may not have room to put it on this outer side. As long as it's pretty snug, it'll be fine. Yeah, it's pretty, you can kind of give it a little wiggle, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Be sure it's pressed down. Now we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're going to peel that off, that little paper. And we're going to do another one. That was a good size, so we'll keep it that size. And yet again, if you have it too long a piece, you can just trim it at the end. Okay, so you're gonna do another piece, and we're just gonna lay that right on top, following that guide all the way around. Yet again, making sure it's nice and snug against that box. So you can see, not hard to do at all. Okay. A little press. Make sure you got those corners good. All right, and then we're going to peel this layer off. We're going to do our 3rd and final layer. Now, why am I doing 3 layers? It's just to make sure that it's high enough to really hold it well and that it's not going anywhere. Now, this last layer we're going to do a little differently. So, remember we mentioned earlier the 2 spots for the screws. Now, obviously we don't have screws, so we're actually going to pull our top dimensional piece across those corners just to kind of hold it down a little bit better. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So yet again, just like we did the first 2, we're going to layer that top one. Oops, sorry, my thumb is totally in the way, but right on top, and that edge is not firm, but okay. And then we're going to go ahead and cut the corner a little bit, if you can see that in the video. So this top one, we're cutting across that corner, going around the side a little bit, and then cutting across the opposite corner. Now, it doesn't have to be, you know, perfectly symmetrical or perfect, but that's just kind of giving it just a little bit extra grip on top. Now, if you wanted to, you could do an extra layer, and you can also, oh, looks like I can actually fit this little tab back on here. Okay, so he actually fit around there. Doesn't always fit. All right, so you do want to, after you have it wrapped, give it a good shake test. You want to make sure that it doesn't wiggle. It needs to be pretty firm in there, just so that your sound will be good. And then I would also go ahead and give it a play test before sealing it up, just to make sure that everything can move. You don't want anything that's obstructing the mechanisms from turning, so we're just going to give it a quick. Okay, so obviously it works good. It's not going anywhere, so we are awesome. Now, it will wiggle a little bit. I mean, it is paper, so just keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and continue to close up our box. So we're just going to go ahead and fold those little outer tabs. All right, and so we've got our other piece here that is going to go on top and close. Now, you'll notice on the sides here, this is another thing I want to point out. On the sides here, you have these tabs, and the same thing on here. You also have the same tabs because it's essentially the same piece mirrored. You don't need both of the side tabs. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cut one of those off. You can cut off these or these. It doesn't really matter which of the two you cut, but you don't need an extra side. So we're going to go ahead and cut this guy off too. Straight as we can. Here we go. All right, so now we're going to pull out that tear and tape again and add some tape to all these sides. So you can see it's a pretty quick box to put together and a fairly inexpensive project. So alright, so I'm just adding that tear and tape to all my little sides. Alright, and then same thing right here. We've got these little bottom pieces. We'll fold down. Okay, so it kind of works, which with all this green you may or may not be able to see. It kind of works like a grid pattern, so we've got kind of an out in with the tabs, and that kind of helps lock it into place. So like this one is going to be sitting in. Alright, and the other thing too is depending on how close your foam strip in your music box is to this exact edge, you may or may not have enough room for this full tab. So the other thing I would recommend, and it won't matter as far as the construction of your box, it'll be fine, but just to trim maybe about 1/3 of that side tab. I don't know if you guys can see the side tab. There we go. Side tab off so that it will fit this spot without hitting that. So it's going to slide. Yeah, that is hard to see. So we'll just slide it in there nice and snug. Now we do still want a tiny piece of tear and tape on there though. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and peel some of these edges off. I like to do just a small section at a time, not all of them peeled off at once. Less likely to make a mistake that way. So we're going to start, see if I can get this in the video. We're going to start with this side and just kind of line those edges up. Okay, this is hard to do in the camera. Okay. Okay, I may have to do this off camera here. Hold on. There we go. So line those edges up just like that. Give it a little press. Same thing with this little bottom tab that we cut. Line that up. Give it a little press. All right, and then we're just going to kind of work around. So we're going to peel that piece off and trying to show you. Line it up, fold it up and press. And then this little tab goes up, and it does not have any tear and tape on it, so let me add that. Okay. Peel off the piece on this side and this bottom piece here. Yeah, okay. And then we're just going to attach those final 2 pieces just like so. So now we have our full base, and we're going to do the same thing on the top. We're just going to fold those little tabs down, fold the top tabs, and the side tabs. And you'll see it'll just kind of fold all in nice and evenly. So yet again, I'm just going to work one side and go all the way around. But there's some absolutely gorgeous design series paper in this new annual catalog, so a lot of other options if you're not feeling the flower print. Even some very good masculine themed ones. All right. Oh, missed one more side. There we go. Okay, so now we've got all our little tabs, and yet again, we're just going to peel and work our way around. So, this edge, fold it, and you can kind of stick your finger in and press that first corner pretty easily. And then we're going to do this next one here. I'll line it up. Camera, there we go. Give it a press. Tuck it in and just press it down. Now some of these sides may or may not catch exactly, but you just do your best. Oh. Okay, I should have gone ahead and got this one. This is hard to get. There we go. Okay, and then the last piece. So just tucking that last little edge down. Okay, there we go. Give it a little pinch. All right, so we have our base box completed. So as you can see, it's closed. The side that you have the handle sticking out doesn't really matter because you can dictate whichever you want as the front of the box. But I do kind of like having it on the side. All right, so now we've got our base box done. We're going to go ahead and work on our embellishments for the top of the box. So as I said earlier, I just cut out a circle with the Whisper White cardstock and using this size circle. If you didn't want to do the layering circle framelits, you could do a circle punch, any of the other wonderful shapes. All right, and then we've got our scripture and the black memento ink. You could also do stays on if you prefer, or if you wanted to go a color with this. We'll just ink that up good and stamp him right in the center. Just like that. Lovely. And then for the edge, I just took a little crumb cake because I thought it kind of needed, you know, just a little bit sponging around the edge to kind of go with the antique-y look. So I've just got my little sponge dauber, little crumb cake, and just hit those edges all the way around. Actually, this one looks a little darker than the other one, but that's okay. So it kind of gives it that antique-y look. All right, see? Really quick and simple. And then for the sake of time, I went ahead and I stamped and colored. Oh, I didn't say what colors I used. Pre-stamped and colored the little flower out. That yet again is from the Petite Petal Palette stamps set. But these were stamped with the memento and colored in using, oh, here they are. The 2017-2019 marker color, the Berry Burst, for that nice shade of pink. And then the green, I used the Mossy Meadow because it looked a little closer to the paper color, but you could also do the Tranquil Tide from that set as well. So those are the two colors that I used to color it in. All right, so side. And then of course I just fussy cut them out. Now I didn't cut out the whole thing because it's going to be sitting on top of this white, so I didn't cut in between that area that you're not going to see. I don't know how well that shows up in the camera. There we go. So didn't cut out the whole thing. So now we're just going to glue those on top really quick. And for this, I'm just using a little liquid multi-purpose glue and just trying to glue it to where it doesn't cover up the words. Go. So one up there. And one over, let's see, I think I did it right here. All right, so just like that. So you can see how quick this is coming together. All right, so to attach it to the box, I mean, you could glue it straight down if you want, but I always like a little pop of dimension, so I threw a couple dimensionals on the back of mine, so we'll just throw a few of those on there real quick. I think this particular pack was from a paper pumpkin. All right, and peel those off. Okay, and now we got to decide where we want our front to be, and I kind of like it, since I'm right-handed, having the handle on the right-hand side. So we're going to just stick it straight on, just like that. So, which is pretty, just like that, even without the little extra. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that lace trim, and for this one I just kind of gave it a little bit of an edge all the way around. Now if you want, you could even double lace it if you wanted an edge across the top and across the bottom. See, that would be pretty as well. But I would just be cautious of doing a strip across the middle just because of the handle placement. But the top is definitely a good easy spot to put it. So make sure we got it about, there we go. Now my handy tip for adding the ribbon to this particular box is, yet again, I really like to use the tear and tape just because it's quick, you don't have to wait for anything to dry, but you don't have to wrap the whole thing in tear and tape. You can just do a little piece on each of the sides, and that will hold it. So a little bit can go a long way. So we're just going to do a little bit on each of the corners. Now, of course, if you wanted to do a giant strip, you could, but save a little tape here. Now you will have one side that is going to be where your two edges of ribbon meet up. So for that one, I do recommend doing a slightly bigger strip just to make sure that they connect. Okay, that's bigger than I intended, but so that they connect really nice and securely. So that's a little bigger than I meant, but you get the idea. Okay, so now we've got our strip all the way around. So I would not have the two end pieces in the front, I would have them showing up in the back. So we're going to start and just tear that off and line it up. Give it a little press, just like that. And then just kind of work it all the way around. So we're taking the tape off and pressing that ribbon down. We are almost done. And do be careful not to pull it too taut, as that expanding will pull it later. All right, so now we're at our back. So I actually purposely cut this longer than I needed. So I'm just going to trim kind of right between two of those designs, just like that. If you guys can see that. So trimmed between two of those designs. And then the same thing on the one that's matching, just kind of lining them up. It's kind of a bit of an eyeball, but so that they kind of come together. It'll look kind of like a lined up pattern. And then we're going to peel off this last piece here. So, lining up a little press, got our one piece, and then lining up and pressing. Got our other piece. There we go. So you can see it's just one kind of cohesive line all the way around. And then the last thing, of course, I did was add some little pearls, embellishments, which, you know, pearls just make everything pop and beautiful. But yet again, that's personal preference. If you don't want to do pearls, we do have some lovely rhinestones. So I'm just gonna throw a few of those on there real quick because I just think they're pretty and look nice. But you don't have to. Alright, so that is how we make our cute little music box. And I hope you guys really liked this project. Now let me show you a couple other things, other boxes with this. So first off, I have this box. Now this is just a very simple one with the daisy punch and the little rhinestone in the center. But I did have one team member ask about possibly using this also as a gift to give to somebody. So you can actually, because the box is so high, make an extra layer and put some goodies in there. So this is just, it's not attached currently, but this is just the top piece of an extra hexagon box. I did it in green so you can kind of see. And then just those sides folded down and attached. Now, if you do decide to go this route, I would recommend not putting it flush against the piece down there, just because whatever you put down, you don't want the weight of the paper and the item to affect the spinning, so you want to do it a little higher. And then also just nothing too heavy. I mean, some candy probably would be fine, but keep in mind it is paper, it will bend, it will warp, so you don't want anything too heavy that is going to press down on that. But yeah, you could very easily make this a tiny little gift box and just not seal it up like we did there. Okay? So besides that, I have these other cute little projects to show you. So this one is going to be a gift for my father-in-law for his upcoming birthday. Plays happy birthday, as you could probably guess. And this was stamped with the Country Living stamp set. So really fun set there. And the wonderful wood grain designer series paper. And then this other one, I really love how it turned out. So this one also plays Amazing Grace, and this beautiful stained glass look with the graceful glass designer vellum sheets. Love this stuff, it's gorgeous. And then this is just some of the strips that I cut and stuck on the side. So another fun design, kind of trying to go for a church stained glass window with that. And these were colored in using the new Blends markers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have 2 extra boxes to share with you here in a second. I just already had given them out, so I just have recordings. But as I said, all the links are in the video information below, and do check that out. If you are planning to buy some music boxes via Amazon, I'd appreciate it if you use my links, as I get a tiny kickback for referring you there. Anyway, see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.